Hello everybody and welcome to another week of Tryhard Tuesdays where we learn to try a little bit harder. I am your host, the Grand Wazoo, and I am sitting here with a good friend of mine, someone who I'm not going to give a super long introduction to for he doesn't need it, Mr. Blue 22. How's it going, Blue?
It's good. It's good. I mean, you've been introing so nicely lately. I'm a little disappointed, to be honest. A little disappointed.
Well, sometimes you just gotta let the man speak for himself, you know. Like, and I'm working on something much bigger, you know.
you have a side.
We're
project.
taking this to Broadway, you know. The Blue introductions. Yeah, it's gonna be fantastic.
I'll fund
it. So here we are again, everybody. It's good to have you back with us. Been a lot of good Dota going on, professionally and otherwise. Of course, not really played by me, that good Dota. Cue the laugh track. There you go.
This guy, crazy guy here.
But
these jokes.
We've been talking team building a bit here at .p because we've all been playing on our amateur teams and whatnot, and found that it teaches you something else, something that you didn't learn playing by yourself or even casually with a party. And so we're kind of going to make the conversation a little bit more casual tonight. We're going to talk about the game in relation to other games, and we're going to kind of talk more about what we've been up to. Because I think all of that is just as important as how you play the Dota. So, Blue, how have your games been going? You've been playing quite a bit?
I've been playing on and off. I've had a couple games here, a couple games there. The last couple games I played with some of the .p members, Dillanoid, Joy Thief, and a few other guys to name drop a little bit, and it's been fun. I like, I've just been playing a lot of unranked with the guys, playing hard carry, which is a role I really am not that used to playing, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm trying to expand my horizons, playing some more Ursa and trying out different stuff. So it's been fun. It's been back to kind of my Dota roots, which is not really hero spamming and just kind of experimenting. And I like it so far. I haven't been winning too much, haven't been losing too much. Pretty much 50-50. But I'd like to hear about your experience. How much have you been playing? Because I know you've been a big Overwatch addict and other things. So want to hear what you've been playing.
Overwatch is like drinking moonshine in a guy's backyard that you don't quite trust, and you wake up like 6 hours later in a field somewhere. It's like I can't tell if I like the game or if I'm just super addicted to it because it has such an addictive pace and it's easy to jump into. It's just not... I don't know. I don't know if it's something I'll even buy when it comes out, to be honest. Like, I do enjoy the game, and I'll probably buy it, but I don't know. It's like their marketing and like their hero design and like just how high octane the game is. It's like a fast Counter-Strike or something mixed with Dota, and it just works really well. I've been playing that quite a bit, and I found that it's made me appreciate Dota a lot more, and also draw a lot of distinctions between a highly accessible game, which that is, I'd say, even though it has a very high skill ceiling as well. Compared to a game like Dota, which is not accessible at all, and like
right.
These differences in game design are seen from the bottom to the top, you know what I mean? And it's we've talked about accessibility a bit on the show before, and I'd like to talk about that a bit. I mean, it's weird because I do play Dota. I play a couple of games a day, and that's not what I consider a lot, which I guess it just goes to show like it's a game I do play quite a bit of. And when I have other games, it's just like I go and flirt with it for a couple hours and then I'm back to Dota. So I'd like to discuss like the accessibility, what keeps you coming back, well, what are the big differences in game design and kind of philosophy that you see from the bottom going up when it comes to these things. What do you think, Blue? I mean, you've been playing Overwatch a bit with me. I mean,
I love it personally. I think Overwatch is it's a fantastic game for what it's supposed to be, and that's the funny part is that everything that we compare to now in terms of like what the not replayability. That'd be too nice a word to use, but like how addicted you can become to a specific game and a specific type of game. It's funny because you hold it up to the heroine that is Dota 2, and you're like, oh, this is fun. I could see myself doing this every once in a while, like hop in, hop out. The fact that it's a 10-minute match every time is fantastic, especially for people who have a lot of different like responsibilities and have stuff going on in their life. So Overwatch is fantastic for that, and I mean, it is, like you said, it's incredibly accessible, it's just super fun to play any hero that you choose in that game, and no matter the game mode, like you're always finding something cool to do, a new nook and cranny on the map. There is that skill ceiling, like you mentioned, but it doesn't feel like it's as punishing as Dota is. Where Dota's like an uphill battle, and the things that are the gravity that's pulling you down is not only your inability to click other creeps or to check your map and things like that, but it's also game knowledge and interacting with people. And Overwatch kind of softens those things, really. You where even if you don't have all the knowledge about all the different heroes, you can still have a good time and have some fun playing the game because you might get a couple kills. Like I think the guys mentioned on the Monday show is that like even if you screw up, like you're bound to get your first kill pretty soon. And by comparison, in Dota 2, getting a kill on a hero can feel like a really arduous task for people who are really new to the game, and they don't really know the strength of one hero versus the other, and you kind of have to know those things to succeed in the first place. So when you see those differences between a game designed around being accessible and a game almost designed specifically around being not accessible,
Being elusive,
being elusive, being really knowledge based and knowledge centric, and knowing your opponent and what hero they're playing and why they're playing him in that way. It's very interesting to see the comparison.
Yeah, and we're not going to be talking Overwatch or Overwatch Heroes or anything like that. That's a cast for another time entirely. But we both talked about like the difference in game design and kind of Overwatch is a very visual game. It's a first-person game, and Dota is top down. So just from that alone, it feels very interesting in terms of like the cues you get on screen for a first-person game and like what they mean compared to Dota. I mean, like those
Right.
cues on screen to a new player don't mean a whole lot. Watching a team fight going down, me watching TI2 was just like, what is going on? Like, and just a
Right.
British man shouting in the background. And that's
And
Toby, of
first-person
course.
shooters, I mean, those things are more naturally easy to pick up. Like, right, there's a bomb. I
Shoot
see
the
a
guy in
bomb.
the head, right?
Yeah, shooty, shooty, he's
Yeah.
dead. Like bullets, like people understand how guns work, right? They understand how explosives work or rocket launchers. So at a very basic level, that doesn't take a lot of knowledge. Whereas when you're in Dota and you see all these different abilities, one that looks like it's shooting a bright light, you're like, oh, that should heal me, right? And then it's like, oh no,
It
there's this Omni
eviscerates
Knight on
you.
the enemy team and he destroys me. It's like, wait, shouldn't that just heal the guy? How is that hurting me? Stuff like that is so
These little
counterintuitive to what
rules,
you're
right?
used to.
And that's
Yeah.
what makes Overwatch such a simple game to understand, in my opinion, is you either have a shield, which is blue, or you have damage, which is typically red, or you have heal, which is typically green. Like those colors all represent something. You know what I mean? In
Yeah.
Dota, like you could never hold any individual color to anything. I mean, you can look at
Mana and health, but that's as
decrepify
far as you could go.
necro spells are green, you know what I mean, and they'll hurt you or heal you depending on what team you're on. I mean, there's just so many little rules that make it harder to understand, and kind of like decoding those rules and realizing what works with what is a big part of learning Dota.
Yeah. But one thing that they do have in common, which I know we talked about before the show, which is kind of interesting to compare, and that is roles and kind of responsibilities that each member on a team has. And where you see teamwork, you for all the differences in the games, the one thing that is constant between the two is that if you see a team working effectively towards a specific objective, like you can see that kind of teamwork working out, and when you're playing and it's working like that, you can feel the synergy going, and it's really fun because it feels like all the synapses are firing and everyone's has the same goal in mind, and people are moving as one unit, and that's really cool to watch. When you're watching any kind of pro Dota, but also even when you're just with your friends and you're setting up for those wombo combos. I mean, just yesterday, myself, Joy Thief, and Illinois were playing a game, and I blink in, and Legion Commander duels me, but then Darkseer joins the fight, and he sees that Illinois, the Ancient Apparition, is about to shoot his ulti, and he vacuums everyone to get close to the ultimate, and everyone gets hit. It's a 5-man wipe, and we crush them, and then they just call GG, and they end the game right after that. And you're like, yeah, like we fucking kicked ass. And you can get that same kind of vibe when you see a game like Overwatch working out where you have a Reinhardt, a tank in the front, and the guys he's pushing the objectives and things like that. So it's cool that there's still that teamwork oriented thing going on in Overwatch, and I think that's something that is a common thread between the two, right?
They picked up that objective-based gaming and kind of compartmentalized it into a 10-minute experience, and it's good because you don't care. I mean, that's how I end with it. Every other game but Dota, I sit down to play to relax, and it like when I play Dota, I don't necessarily play to relax. I'm starting to realize I kind of play to like challenge myself. And so these other games, it's like, I lost, meh, I lost, meh, I lost. Oh, I got a little like loot box, a goodie box, or cool. I got a skin for a dude, awesome. It's like that. It's that WoW experience boiled down to 10 minutes, and it's very Blizzard. But I don't know. Check it out if you want a game you could play for 10 minutes or whatever in between Dota matches or whatever. We just thought that there were some interesting distinctions there. I think Dota, like, in its inaccessibility, makes it that unattainable siren, the elusive beast that, like, conquers you before you conquer it in a lot of cases. Because it feels like every skill level you just open up so much more. And, like, I don't know if you can say the same about Overwatch. Maybe. But, like, there's definitely nothing like that experience of doing well in Dota. And there's nothing quite like a crushing defeat, as we all know. But if you don't want to say anything else, Blue, I'd like to move in to the bulk of our episode.
Yeah, I like Overwatch. I definitely bought it, so I'm going to be playing that on the side. Like you said, it's going to be my game to relax, and Dota is going to continue to be my game to not relax.
That's how you get pumped up, Dota.
So yeah, not much is going to change. Don't worry, we're not going full Overwatch podcast, but it's a huge beta, and it was definitely worth mentioning for both of us, considering both of us have played it so much over the last week or so.
And we're nerds, so like doing nerdy things. So there you go. I had a good time. I don't know if I'll buy it right when it comes out. Got a lot of games to play, like that. The modern gamer, man, like 100 backlog. I got nothing to play. It's like, shut up. Slap yourself. But let's move into the bulk of the episode. We want to talk about reconciliation of positions. Like, what if you play carry and someone who's better than you also plays carry? What do you do in that situation? If you're particularly like only skilled as a carry, we're not naming any names here. It's no one you know.
A friend, right?
It's a friend of I have a question for a friend. He only really plays one position, and everyone else like plays a bunch of positions. So what does that guy do, Blue, when someone's better than him by the MMR and they want to play that position too? Like, what does he do?
My friend. It's funny because we were talking about the idea, well before the episode, and I was like, what about those situations? And you're like, yeah, what do you do? I'm like, yeah, no, it's gonna be a good topic to talk about. And you're like, no, really, like, what do you do? Yeah. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, that's the thing. It's super subjective. I mean, we're gonna try our best to tackle the issue, but I'd love to hear what other people think about how that gets reconciled and things like that. I mean, one of the standard answers that you see a lot of people implement is like, oh, well, all right, well, we got, two 2Ks and two, 3Ks and one guy who's 4K on our team. So let's just make the 4K guy, the hard carry. Like, he's got to play mid or hard carry, right? Always play mid or hard carry.
He's like, I only play 5. And you're like,
yeah,
who cares?
Exactly.
You're hard carry.
And some of those examples are some of the support players. Like, I think Flub's a great example. He's a guy who plays a lot of support. But then people are like, oh, no, you got to be the hard carry. And, like, he plays a really good hard carry, but it's not like that's his favorite thing to do. I hate speaking for the guy, but I just mentioned it as an example. And myself included, it's something that, I normally play every position except for hard support. Sometimes I'll play that. But especially hard carry. Like, I don't play hard carry that often. So when I'm in a stack and I'm the highest MMR and everyone seems to default to that kind of order, is the order of your quote, your MMR has to order your the way you position people. So 1 through 5, it kind of works like that, right? And I don't know if that's necessarily the best way to go about it, especially like you said, if there's people who specialize in a certain role. So I don't know. What I would love to hear is how you as a team, the team that you're currently on, like how you guys can decide roles and and not only roles, but how you play a certain role. Because there's people who play a super greedy four, there's people who play a super roaming around four. There's people who play a greedy off lane position, like a lone druid off lane, or like a doom off lane, and they just never leave lane, and they go Midas and stuff like that. So how do you in your team reconcile that?
They just asked me to play, and I was like, really? I was like, I'm not as good, but okay, if you guys want someone who's not that good. And they're like, okay, we'll have you. And I was like, okay. And then I signed my contracts, and they dropped off the Maserati at my place, and I was like spraying champagne all over and stuff, and it was good times. And then, yeah, I know AG plays a lot of carry, and he probably does it better than me, but he plays four on our team, and it's just that's what they asked me to do, and so I said okay. And it's weird because some people feel like they play that position better and they have tips for you, and it helps, but it also goes back into that what we talked about last week and like the difference of communication in ways. You know what I mean? If you're like having to listen to several people at once, it's hard to process that and execute accordingly. So it's really about, I mean, once you get good enough at the game, you can play so many positions. It's like you just want to be on a good team. So it's like you'll play anything, I feel like, is what I see. But that's like high level of play. Like I use Owie. AUI is a good example just because, like, look at him. He went from playing, what was he, a 4 on EG to playing
Yep.
1 now. So he's like very, very versatile player.
And
And
he started as a one in on Dignitas.
yeah. And
So we
so
went
it's
from
like
1-4 to 1.
you pretty much take what you can get. But, like, that's definitely how I felt with this team. I wanted to play with a team and no one was doing anything. So I felt like I had the best chance of success at carry, and I kind of tried to get up to snuff in time. But I always notice in my pubs that like people will be like, oh, Wazoo probably wants to play carry, and it's like, no, it's okay, I'll play whatever. But it's like people are like, no, play this. Like, just do whatever like you're competent on.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not a very good support, and I've had a hard time with it and learning other positions. I'm an okay mid, but it really depends on the hero and the situation, and I don't get the nuances like I get the nuances of a safe lane. But I think it's just a level of comfort, you know. Other people, if they're gonna play with you, like you just got to be like, look, this is what I typically play, and it's really hard. Sometimes you won't play with people because you play that, and you guys play the same role or something because I haven't
Yeah.
specialized elsewhere, you know, or you just won't play with other people for other reasons. But you'll find a group that like you mesh with, you know, like and like I
Puzzle
think
pieces
one
have to
thing.
fit. Yeah.
What? Sorry, go ahead.
The puzzle pieces have to fit, right? Like even if you play the same role, like you can make that work by changing around who does what.
Yeah. Um. So you've been playing a different position. You've jumped around a lot more than a lot of people I've known. Like how you've played a lot of everything, right?
Yeah, I think I mean, to me it really is. I treat anytime you do something, out of your kind of comfort zone, it makes it into a cool learning experience. And sure, you might not be like the best of the best at that skill or at that position, but it's nice because you get to know what's going through the other role's head at that time, because you're so accustomed to knowing all the different roles and the different timings. Where it's like if you're a lion and you're playing that 5 position, you're just like, God damn, like I'm sitting on 900 gold. It's 20 minutes of the game. I have tranquil boots and a wand and wards, and that's it. Like, guys, I love to fight, but I just want to get my blink dagger up. And then you have the carry who's just picked up his BKB. He's like, all right, guys, I'm ready to go. Let's do this. And you're just like, you have different. It's easier to sense the different wants and needs of the different positions because you know the timings and how key they are, right? Like, if I know that I'm getting a blink dagger at the 28-minute mark on Earthshaker, shit's not going well, because I should be getting that, if everything is going well, pre 20-minute mark, even if I'm roaming and things like that. That would be a much more ideal time. And if you get it at that time, you're like, okay, we're winning, like we're doing well. I think you may have mentioned that Puppy, that quote about Puppy saying that, if your supports are pretty well farmed, the game is going pretty
Yeah.
well, and that you're likely to win the game. And so I use that as the barometer over a lot of things, not just because Puppy said it, but also because it's much easier to tell what is the time to group up, or what is the time to do things. So playing those different roles makes making those judgment calls in your head a little bit easier. Of course, you're not right 100% of the time when you do that, but it just makes it a much easier it raises the odds of you being right, right?
Yeah, it just lets you look at the game as an experience that's scoped out. Are you on a writing mower while you're recording this?
No, I hear you.
Yeah, I'm not on a writing mower either.
I have no lawnmowers going on.
Okay, maybe it's
Yeah, I see the Zen. Did you pause it?
no.
You should
We're
pause
just we're just gonna roll through it.
it. All right, we're
Sorry
gonna cut
guys,
this out,
that
right?
was a writing mower moment.
Okay.
Usually it's too late to mow, but you know, with these desert sunrises and whatnot, who knows? But I'd like to discuss a little bit more about when you give up the position. I mean, we've kind of discussed why you would hold on to it if you're only comfortable in that. But I mean, it doesn't feel like breadth, like not having breadth in the game is a good thing. You know, you can always put someone on like playoff lane, you know, like
Right.
go play a
Right.
tide or something and like pick this up and you can just hold that and soak experience until you can ravage. You know what I mean? Like there's always things you can do to kind of like fit into a team comp if your really really high mark player is a carry player or something. And I always offer, you know, but people are always like, no, you can go ahead and do that. And it's like, oh, thanks, you know, like I'm good at that. I well, like relatively compared to how bad I
That's my
feel I am
thing.
at everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's easier to say that's my thing than to say like I'm good at that because I would never say I'm a good for it, but I would say like I've done that a lot. Or like that's the thing that's the situation I'm most comfortable in is playing that role or whatever. And I definitely would say that you are far and away most comfort in like a tri lane in the carry spot, which kind of leads to something I did want to talk about, and that's the different roles, not just in the I play the carry role or I play the semi support or I play the hard support, is the way that they're played and how you take a either a five stack or you take an 82L team, for example, and you change those play styles to adapt to a certain style. So I know you guys have had a lot of conversations lately on your team, Serene Machine, just going over what you know, who gets what and when people need to be rotating or when people need to you know follow their support and kind of babysit him as he puts the wards up, things like that. So how do you and AG mentioned it is that you know he's used to playing a one role, so when he goes to the four, he plays it more greedy four a lot of times, and sometimes that works out, but sometimes it doesn't. So it's like, do you just leave that up to the captain to decide like, oh, you're playing a too greedy a four role, and you need to change that role to more, more gank oriented or more movement around the map? Like, how do you guys handle it?
I think the overall goal is just to learn like tick by talk by tick by talk. You know what I mean? Like just slow and just methodical. So like if if you're not winning every game or something, like you can't get all sour and pissy about it, and you can't be like you're doing this and you're doing this because everyone has so much wrong at this level. It's like you could sling mud all day, you know, and no one's learning anything at the end of the day. So typically, I'll just leave their play up to them, and if it's like a team thing that everyone needs to talk about, then everyone will bring it up. And if not, like if it's not that big of a deal, then it's not that big of a deal. You know, like we're not going to go on to win the international or anything, not this year at least, maybe next year. But at the same time, you know, you are trying to improve your own play, and so like to focus out of your play is difficult, and I think that's why you see such a difficulty in captaining and stuff at this level because it's like they're drafting, which is hard to do at this level when someone outskills you in MMR, and then on top of that, you're like trying to shot call a game where you're just also trying to focus on your own play, and it's very difficult. I think like it gives you a huge appreciation for people who can communicate clearly and efficiently throughout those times, and still keep an eye on the game. But yeah, I think like more people like there has to be a consensus that it's a problem, and until that point, it's really difficult to bring up anything, you know. And you don't want to just like bring up one guy's thing. I don't know. It's very difficult. Team politics are interesting. Like, what do you feel? Like when you notice something like really bad, do you bring it up to the person alone? Like, what do you do? Like if you see someone like really like throwing games, doing a certain behavior or pattern.
Well, it's not necessarily throwing games, but I think when it relates to this, which is talking about position and how you play it, I think that is something where you notice that there people have a certain style, and you either need to adhere to that style and say like this person, if he's able to do his thing most then we get the most benefit out of it, even though this guy and the next guy are a little bit more out of their comfort zone than they're used to being, right? Like, so if you take, for example, you have a team and that, like, let's just use you for an example, because
Or my
why not?
friend.
You love to have to be a tri-lane carry. You love to have your tri-lane, right? You love to have two people protecting you so you can free farm safely. Now, if that means that, say, for example, AG doesn't get as much farm as he's used to having, and that's a little bit more out of his comfort zone, the benefit for him being a little more out of his comfort zone and you being fully in your comfort zone might be beneficial to the team. Now, that obviously, this is an example, and this isn't necessarily the case for you, but that's something that you do notice that people have to account for, is that not everyone's going to be happy, right? You have 5 mouths to feed, and only one game to do it in. So obviously the things are going to change depending on the draft, but the way, I mean, that has to come into it as well, is the way you draft around these roles. But if you assume that you're going to draft with that style in mind, then you need to draft accordingly, and the people that are willing to accept that are going to have the most success, right? They're going to be able to succeed, and that if that tri-lane succeeds, there's a much better chance that everything's going to snowball thereafter. You're fully in your comfort zone. You're clicking the creeps. People are doing their jobs.
That's trademarked,
Yeah,
by the way. You used that once earlier, too. Click of the creeps is a trademark term by me. So, you're going to have to pay me royalties for that.
This is what I deal with, guys. This is what I deal with.
I've counted twice. I'll be sending you a bill for that. But I know exactly what you're saying. I think happiness management and realizing that some people are not going to be happy at certain points of the game, and that's okay, is also another one of those intangible skills that like really makes me respect people that can help keep it together on a team. You know what I mean? Because like sometimes you do have to give that up, like, and rotate out of even off lane sometimes and come bottom, and that sucks. Sucks for everybody if you like lose a fight after rotating everybody, or even just barely like lose one or something and then have to go back to your lane. Like, it sucks. And so those people that can like handle that stuff, it's huge. And so I think like kind of to wrap this back into our conversation earlier, like the best way to get the team that you want and to be able to play comfortable heroes is just communicate and be really open and honest about what you play, like, and we've all played with that one guy who's like, what do you play? He's like, everything. And like, you're like, okay. And you give him silencer and he has absolutely like build zags or something. And you're like, what are you doing? And it's just like terrible. Like, don't be that guy. Like, there's, at this skill level, I don't think many people are skilled at like even one or two heroes, but like there's some things you're comfortable with and things that you can just like adapt with. And when you can adapt in situations with something you're comfortable with, you have a better chance of winning at this skill level, I really think.
Yeah, I like your point about the happiness management. I mean, role management and happiness management they go hand in hand, because if you're not comfortable in your role, there's a good chance you won't be happy, because if something isn't going well, then you blame it on the fact that you're not used to your role. And it's something that you do internally, and you might not even verbalize it to teammates, but you feel it. You feel it, like, I know that if, in your head, you say this, and of course you don't say it out loud because you'd feel like an asshole, but it happens a lot to people where you go, I'm playing the hard support, but I just know if I got a shot at that off lane, like I'd be able to take more advantage of it. Or like I have a hero pool that's easier to execute against that that safe lane that they have. So if I were picked an off laner, if I got my Nature's Prophet, I could deal with that lane better than this guy who only knows how to play Darkseer or something. Like. It's just one of those things where you're like, okay, yeah, but that doesn't mean that whatever you did is perfect. But
have people said this to you or something? It feels like this is autobiographical.
no, it was literally off the top of my head. Like, that was not even, no. And like, that's a terrible example because Darkseer can like do well in any lane, but it was literally off the top of the head. But to me, that's a big point, is happiness management and keeping people relatively happy, or at least like give them a horizon at the end, like a light at the end of the tunnel to go like, yeah, I know it sucks, like you're not getting much farm, but I mean, look at this guy, he's fat as hell, he got a 9-minute battle fury on anti-mage or some shit, you're just like, all right, well, that you can believe in that guy because he's most comfortable in this role and he's got all this farm, so you just got to trust in him, and that has to be like the central foundation for any kind of role management that you do with that is that if you're the captain, you say, hey, we need you to play this support hero who doesn't really farm very well. Like, we need you to play, I don't know, some like support Elder Titan because it deals really well with the enemy lineup. And you're like, oh shit, like I can't farm that well with that guy. You just have to roll with the punches, right? You have to trust that your captain is making the right choice or your drafter is making the right choice, and that you follow through with that role, and you don't try to AFK jungle because I need a Midas, man, because I can't flash farm creeps fast enough, that kind of thing where you have someone going one way with the strategies and then the other person isn't following suit with it. That's
Yeah.
the problem I see with role management oftentimes is not the picks but the execution.
And the faith, probably. If someone does pick you like an Elder Titan, you're just like, screw this guy. You're just like, I'm not, like, he's hard to execute. He's someone I don't play. Like, and there is something to be said for, like, picking someone something that they don't play sometimes when you could get something that would be easier that maybe they do. And that just comes down to the communication. I mean, sure, you can have a vision, but if people can't execute that vision that you have, you might as well not be putting it forth upon the world anyway. you know, it just
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
quite
true.
work out. Sometimes it does, like you just snap into it with a hero, but really it's just about we're playing to that comfort, and what we kind of see on our team sometimes is like we have this vision and sure it'll work, but we're not able to get to that point or the window where we can make it happen. And so it's like we're trying to like figure out what's going wrong, tinkering with it, which can be frustrating or it can be a really enlightening experience to bring people in from the outside and get like opinions and stuff like we've done with you and Ursi and stuff. And that I think that's really cool, like to have people just kind of helping you out as you go along, and like you can get up to
Yeah.
snuff, and we'll hope to get there by the time we hit the playoffs and stuff. So wish us luck. We'll keep calling for you as a stand-in for sure. And I don't know, I'm just hoping I get better.
What's funny that like
Honestly.
before it's well, yeah, you'll get better, baby. You just gotta play a little more dotes, You just gotta click of the creeps a little more. I know it's
That's
another
three
five
times.
cents in your pocket, but
We're talking $500. It's a
ah,
catchphrase.
Jesus. All right,
They make
we'll
stuffed
we'll
animals of
negotiate
me.
after the show.
Yeah,
God, these fucking assholes,
15
man.
bucks, 1500s.
They bleed you dry and then they ask for more.
I'm not making any money doing this, you ladies and gentlemen. So
All right, all right, all right. We'll have to negotiate after the show. We got some business that we got to do here. But one last comment on this is I like your point in that it's nice to have a third person to like a third party to examine kind of what's going on, especially if you're on a team. But even if you just play in like a five stack and one of your friends, and you're just like, oh, like man, this guy that I played with, I've never heard of him before, but like, man, why was he was feeding so much, right? And then the other guy is like, yeah, but also you went Midas, and I don't think that going Midas 20 minutes into the game was going to win you guys the game when you were an early game lineup, for example. So it's always like it's nice to have that extra that person who has no bias to just give you the heads up because I feel like you always are more receptive to someone who's kind of off hands, who isn't exactly as much involved as everyone else is and doesn't have those inherent biases, you know?
yeah, and that's something that makes coaching so valuable as well, right?
Yeah.
Is you just invite someone in to just like pick you apart. And these people aren't necessarily picking us apart. I mean, it's some things we can fix, but it's like at the same time it's difficult to implement it all. You know what I mean? From top to bottom, because you're fixing so many people's problems all at once that it's like some more than others. Like I have a friend on the team, not me, of course, but it's just interesting. It takes a certain kind of person, I think, to like want that to be your life, that competitive. Like you just got to let go of everything and just kind of seek that dream, become good as possible, I guess. Because like just doing it on an amateur level is like draining.
Right, but it's so empowering when it works, and
Yeah, when it
you realize
works.
that like when you take that shit to heart and you realize and you make those changes, you're like, like that is incredible. And I know we're going a little off topic, but like for example, I had a friend who he's like he's English second language, and he's my Chinese friend, and he's my work friend, and he's a nice guy, but he speaks very abruptly, and he doesn't have a lot of tact when he talks. So especially in Dota, when he's like, "Hey, you're feeding. Stop it. Stop being a fuckhead. And you're like, oh, okay. You know, like you just have to take that as it is. And then, but there was times when he's like, hey, you never farm when you play off lane. You just never farm. Why you farm? You gotta farm more. I'm like, oh, shit, I didn't think about that. Well, fuck me. All right, I'll farm some more. And then I got way better at playing offlane. Like I was terrible the first year of Dota at playing offlane because I thought, oh, like I hit level 6 and I'm gonna go gank around. I'm just gonna, gank, gank, gank is clockwork or something. Like I'm just gonna go, go, go. Don't worry about creeps. It's like, oh, this is my role, right? I'm gonna play the role. But then someone goes, hey, like if it doesn't work out, you need to stop what you're doing. You need to like cut that shit out. And this is a guy who wasn't even in the game with me. He was just like he noticed the pattern and he pointed it out. So having that coach, like you said, or that third party, just to point out something like, hey, I see something going on here because I'm not even in the game. I'm not worried about myself. I just wanted to help you. And you have to kind of take it like that.
And it's valuable to be able to accept advice as it comes and not overthink it. Like when someone, like typically when people's play gets insulted, they like take it right to the heart. They're just
Yeah.
like, oh, you hate me. It's like, no, you're just really, really, really bad at bristleback. Like really bad. I'm sorry, but it's just the truth.
Incredibly bad at bristleback.
Like, and when you don't take things personally in that environment, like sometimes it's hard to, like in the moment, like when you're losing and stuff, and people are just telling you what you did wrong, it sucks. It's hard to like keep your emotions out of it. But you play a lot better when you keep your emotions out of it. You don't go on tilt, and you shouldn't be going on tilt from things your teammates say, which is probably why we plugged Puppy a couple times. His idea of perfect communications is relatively quiet mic. Like no one's talking really. You're not having a constant conversation. You're making those calls, getting there, communicating when you have to, and getting through. Like otherwise, the comms are pretty clear.
Efficient communication.
Efficient communication, right? And I feel like something that's where we're still getting at on my team. And I mean, we've discussed communication before. We've kind of beat it to death, and we'll kind of talk about it later on. Maybe when it comes to team stuff, more so than we did, or in supplement to what we did last week. But I just think it's interesting that like some people are more comfortable talking out each and every step, and that makes it difficult for other people to kind of do it. So I think like to our point earlier, and kind of to tie this back through, when you have a good captain, someone that can draft kind of out their stuff and talk you through it, that's perfect. But when you have a captain that'll just draft you that weird stuff and not communicate what the goal is, that's where teams start to fall apart on the execution right off the bat. Mm-hmm. And that's something that's pretty fascinating, I think, to the whole process. Is like, don't be scared to play other stuff just because you only play carry. But when you do play other stuff, if you're playing with a team, like, don't be afraid to ask questions and make that communication top priority to make you play better in that role.
Yeah, totally. And be receptive to it, especially after games. Like, there has to be that time where you're like, I am open. You have to be an open book, so to speak. But yeah, that's definitely something that I think we're going to talk about in future episodes, is different styles of communication, stuff like that. Because there are a lot of different people who are like the super chatty types, or the others who are like, why are we talking? Like, we're not saying anything important, stuff like that.
Yeah, some people it like calms them to just like chat and bullshit, but other people are like, I'm trying to last hit, shut the fuck up, please. It's distracting.
Your friend, right? Your friend.
Yeah, my friend.
You got a friend. You got a friend.
Oh, I just go into. I don't hear anything even on mic when I'm last hitting, dude. It's just like. Brr, 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 brr. It's like, and then Wazoo, get out of lane, and then I die. Like.
It's like you're like waking up in a cold sweat that last call when someone's like, he's ganking you.
Yeah.
You're just like, what? Oh fuck. Okay.
And they've been calling my name for like 20 seconds, and I just
ping 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 ping.
And I just last hit in the way, dude.
Yeah. One more last hit. One more. Then I'll TP.
So it's like everyone has things they can work on. You probably don't want to work on them in a game, though. Like we talked about that last week a little.
Yeah.
Definitely check out that episode if you're interested. It's going to be part of an ongoing series on team building, and this is, I guess, supplementary to that in a way. We're just kind of going to be talking about the gaps that we didn't feel were filled. So, Blue, do you have anything else to add before we move on with this concerning any of that stuff we just covered?
I'm good.
Yeah, me too. I feel like we covered it okay. Don't
No,
ever
I'm
be.
just good at Dota. I'm just good at Dota. That's all.
Yeah, right.
I wanted
I
to
know you
declare
don't.
that
I know you don't mean
for
that.
everyone. I am good.
You're good for a ginger. Yep. That
This
takes
show,
away
man.
one of the click of the creeps, just because ginger jokes are
That's how that
cheap.
works?
Yeah, I
Oh, fuck
guess.
that, man.
I don't know. It's worth it.
That's harassment right
Yeah.
there. I'm gonna
Workplace
sue
harassment.
you into the dirt.
There's not much to take, so
You
good
won't
luck
have a
with that.
lawnmower to ride on.
I'll give you my skins, my Dota 2 skins.
You'll be living on that lawn that you're cutting in the background.
I'm not cutting a lawn right now.
Someone is.
I looked outside. There's no one there. Maybe there's a phantom lawnmower guy who died in a
Phantom
lawnmower.
lawn.
Yeah,
The ghostly lawnmower.
that's not scary at all. But yeah, guys, just speaking from experience, it's good to branch out just to kind of see those timings and other bits about the game. Don't be scared if you've acclimated to one position to branch out and try something new. That's kind of where we're going to end it, even though like I never branch out and try anything new. I do play support sometimes, and then people are just like mad at me for a couple days. It's like, what did I do? It's like, if you need to ask, you don't understand.
It was
It's
so
like,
bad. My eyes were bleeding.
yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, I got wards and stuff. Like, isn't that what it is? Wards? Wards.
Oh.
But anyway, guys, we are going to be continuing our series on Item of the Week, interesting Item of the Week, and kind of talking about it, what its applications are, when would you get it, why would you want it, what it costs, what it does, what its history is. Blue, you want to start us off on that, my friend?
Yeah, sure. So I think we talked about Bloodthorn as kind of the first item last week to bring up on the show, and that was kind of the in vogue item. And I think there's no doubt about it when I say that that Armlet is far and away like the popular item of the patch now. So much so that in 6.87C they actually nerfed it a little bit, didn't they? They nerfed it from adding an additional 5 armor when you turn on the what is it called? The unholy strength. To now you only get you get 4 additional armor instead of 5 additional armor. I want to say.
So you get 9 now when you used to get 10.
Yes. When it's turned on.
When it's turned off, though, you still get the base 5. So that didn't happen before this patch, right? They didn't give that armor bonus on activation, or am I wrong there?
They did not give it.
They did not. So that was new in this patch. It's an item that they're really trying to make attractive again to these strength heroes. Wraith King, Sven, you see it built on quite a bit. They'll take that Helm of Iron Will, and instead of throwing it onto the Dominator, they'll throw it into the Armlet. And then you have someone that can boost armor with their E ability. And then once you're there, you just pop the Armlet on with Gods, and you're a crazy force to be reckoned with at like 11 minutes into the game. So that's interesting. I mean, it makes those interesting fights those early interesting fights more fun, I think, to watch.
So you mentioned Sven as an example, but I mean some other big examples, and far and away the most popular one is putting it on Lifestealer. It's actually the most used by that hero, the Armlet of Morgigian.
He's been the name of it. It's been used on him for a long time. It's been in his build, right?
Yeah. So. But it's been very popular this week because Lifestealer himself has gone up in popularity like a ton. So I'm sure a lot of our listeners have been seeing a lot of Lifestealer. This is one of the reasons is that Armlet's been buffed like crazy. So therefore, people with natural lifesteal like Wraith King and Lifestealer have been buffed up like crazy. And then obviously you have Huskar, who's always gotten it. But another guy I wanted to talk about was Alchemist, and why it's been interesting to have Alchemist picking up the Armlet and why that's been such a popular thing. I don't know. Have you seen any of kind of the recent trends in the pubs lately?
Yeah.
Have you seen the Armlet?
I didn't see it first necessarily.
Okay.
But I have seen it a little bit, and it's very strong. I mean, Armlet, just to give everyone kind of an idea, it does give the 7 health regeneration, 5 armor, 25 attack speed, and 9 damage when it's off. But when it's on, it gives you immediate 500 health, nearly 8 health regeneration on top of the 7, and then 9 armor total. It used to be 10, and then 25 attack speed. And 40 damage, but it's 65 for strength heroes because of that multiplier.
40 health cost per second, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's very, very interesting that this is something they're trying to make more attractive because it's always been one of those items that's been like, people have I mean, had done awesome plays with it from all the toggling, and then people have called bullshit on the armlet. They changed it a little bit a while ago, like quite a few years ago now, to make the activation a little different. You used to not be able to just turn it on and off, right? Didn't it have a little cooldown or something?
It would have like a ramp up time to
Yeah.
go from. I think it takes you from 0 to like 500 health or 450, something like that. It takes you to
Sorry, you cut out.
it up that notch. So if while it's gradually going up, you get burst down, you can't toggle like crazy and just get lucky. So
Yeah,
that
it's
was
something
one of
that's
the
more
nerfs to it.
deliberate. You have to watch the hits, you have to watch the spells and the timing to
Exactly.
be able to turn it on. And that's what I like about it. It shows a
Yeah.
real understanding of last hits and ability cast times and all that you have the fortitude to be able to see that. You know what I mean? And just like toggle on at the right moment. And so I'm glad. I'm all for it. I'm glad it's back. It's makes some of my heroes more interesting. You see it on Chaos Knight. You see it on Legion Commander. And of course, we already mentioned Wraith King. He's really good at it because he's one of those guys that if he loses the toggle and he has his ult, you can all of a sudden become like a slow bomb in the middle of a team fight. And like he's very, very good in that sense. But I don't have much more to add.
Well, I wanted to mention why people get it on Alchemist. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah, of
necessarily.
course.
I mean, the nice part about it, getting it on Alchemist is obviously that Chemical Rage kind of counters the negative effects of an Armlet, so you can leave Armlet on while you have your Rage going, and they effectively cancel each other out, so you don't, have that. You're not losing that 40 health per second. I looked at the stats on this. It's technically 32, a little over 32 health per second that you lose because you gain a bunch more strength, right? So that kind of counteracts it. But with Alchemist, you don't lose any of that because you have your Chemical Rage going and you get that bonus health regen. And even at level 6, the health regen is 50 per second. So it already deals quite nicely with that. And the fact that you can get the armlet around like 4 to 5 minutes as a good timing, I mean, you become a beast and you become super unkillable. To the point where you get that radiance at a much faster time because you can farm a little bit faster by toggling it. You can survive ganks by toggling it. And not only that, but Alchemist is a hero that, right off the bat doesn't have much armor to speak of. So that +9 armor when it's turned on, and even just +5 when it isn't on, is a huge difference for a hero that has a base like 2 armor or something. So that's kind of one of the reasons that people get it super early on for him. And I would say the other big thing I mentioned, which is it helps with farming a little bit, which is oddly enough because most heroes get Armlet to fight, right? And you can still do that with
Alchemist.
Alchemist, but it's almost
There's a
an
good
even
case
better
for him with
bridge.
chemical, like just because you can pop that and heal up anyway. You know what I mean? Like instead of having to go back because Armlet does drain strength heroes too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can't subsist on it purely in the lane or you're running a risk.
Right, you gotta turn it off when you're not using your Chemical Rage. But the fact that it serves as a really nice bridge from going, versus going straight into Radiance where you're pretty freaking useless, for the first 10 minutes of the game, in a best case scenario, and then you get your Radiant, and then you want to farm some more. At least with Armlet, like technically you could fight more if you wanted to. You could transition that into a fight heavy build with like a Sanjin Yash or a Blink Dagger or Solar Crest or something. Or you could just go back for that Radiance, and the Armlet is still legit. It still only costs 20 gold, and I mean all the things that it provides are really good for an Alchemist. So I think it's another reason you're seeing Alchemist picked up frequently, not just in pubs but also in pro matches as well.
Yeah. The armlet looks like it's going to make a comeback in this patch, that's for sure. It's a very attractive item, gives stats, and I don't know, it's one of those cool risk-reward items that you can
Yeah.
get huge payoff if you use it right. So I like that. I support that in the meta, and I think that's pretty cool. It's a good way to cover that, and it's a relevant item. So do you have anything else to add before we move on, Blue?
No, just one of those small tips. I don't play a lot of Chaos Knight, but I know some people who do. I know some people who should, like that friend of yours, Wazoo.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
I'll
hero's
tell him.
legit, man.
I'll
Like
tell him.
that's a hero. Like I don't want to play that hero because he looks like everything that I hate about Dota, but like like the RNG and shit. But that hero is super legit. But pro tip with using Armlet, and by pro tip I mean like 3K tip. Make sure you turn your Armlet on before you use your Chaos Knight. Oh, what's the name of the alt? Why can't I remember it now?
Midnight Parade or something.
Midnight Parade.
Like, what's it called?
Phantasm. Phantasm.
Phantasm. That's right.
And you know, before you pop the Phantasm, you turn the Armlet on and you throw those suckers at whoever is going up against you. Because man, you become a beast with that thing. And the Armlet gives that extra strength, and they can take advantage of that. So it's something that I see a lot of people do who know a lot more about CK than I do. So I thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's the age of the strength hero. He's coming back. They're all coming back. So that's pretty cool. So guys, we've run our time for today. I'd like to go ahead and close out the show now. Thank you for joining us, everybody. You can find me at on Twitter at @p_wazoo. Find our Twitch channel at .ptv. Find our YouTube at .ptv1. And our Twitter for all the shows at .p_show. Blue, where can people find you?
You can find me at .p_MrBlue on Twitter. And you can also find me, and I'm sure a number of other hosts, heading over to the in-houses, right? The in-houses on Saturday nights. You got the time. Is it 8 Central? Am I right on that?
Yeah, but 9. We'll just go by Eastern. It's 9 Eastern, right?
9. It might be 8 Eastern.
Yeah, 8 Eastern. Sorry, guys.
8
Eastern
so
Saturday.
Central.
Come and hang out. We'll have a stream going. We'll all hang out, play some Dota. It's a great time, guys. Make sure to stop by. Also, the Discord. Yeah, check out the Discord if you want an invite. Any one of us. Anyone can get you an invite to that. It's a cool little community. Lots of stuff going on. Consider yourself welcome if you're listening to this podcast.
But don't say click of the creeps, because, they'll charge up the wazoo, man.
Up the wazoo. That's where the term comes from, dude. It's all the dudes I've sued.
You are literally Scrooge McDuck over here.
Yep. Swimming in my pile of internet money. I love it.
Can I not say wazoo?
No, you can't. That's trademarked. So, guys, thank you so much once again for joining us. Sorry about the technical problems. We had some audio issues and also a phantom lawnmower guy missing a head, like still mowing his lawn even after all the years he's passed. So I apologize for that. Thank you for joining us, guys. Remember to stay hard and stay classy.